Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Oops, I gotta do something real quick. But yeah, so the Alchemortis playtest is live again for Patreon members. So head on over, first of all, to the Steam page to wishlist Alchemortis. And then if you want to get access to the playtest, you can subscribe at Patreon. Although we're getting to the point now where the publicly accessible playtest will be launching on Friday. So what is it? Is it Wednesday today? Yes. So in just a couple of days here, the playtest is going to be live for everyone. But still, I would appreciate if you support it on Patreon. And if you do subscribe to the Patreon, you'll get a Steam key sent to your email. When you do so, again, the playtest will be available for everyone on Friday, so you don't need to do this. But there are a couple of nice perks here. For example, if you support, or if you oh, this is going to be a difficult stream. Never mind. You can see the perks. I'll send you an Alchemortis Steam key if you subscribe at this tier for at least 1 month, so you won't need to buy the game on Steam. So that's an option to you. Also, you can check out my Udemy courses. Those will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. And of course, the Discord is linked in the description below as well. So join the Discord, come hang out. It's a great community over there. And that's where you can also share your feedback. Okay, so let's say hello to everybody. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome back. Good to see you. Thantake, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Emerson, good morning from both sides. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so Ninja Link in the Discord found or discovered the issue with the combat being soft locked. And so it appears to be an issue where there's a null, let me blow this up. There's a null reference error in targeted effect player component play effect between cards. So if I go to my targeted effect, and we're on the playtest 3 branch right now. So if I fix this bug, I will push that out to the playtest, and then we'll figure that out. But so we got this play effect between cards here. This is called in play targeted effect. So we've got target info, targeted cards, play effect between cards. So there is a null reference error in here. Object reference not set to an instance of object. So there's only really a couple of places where this could be a problem. Target card could be null, which would be very bad. And source card could be no. Now, I don't think that's the case, but let's see where this targeted cards is set. Base card. Ability target info. Let's see where this is going. Base card, here we go. Executing ability enhanced context base card. So it's pretty much impossible for this base card to be null. If executing ability is iTarget provider, get targets. Enhanced context, add targeted cards. So this should also never be null, although I don't know for sure, but this get targets here, this is just going to be, let's see, query target provider, get cache targets. So basically all of these situations are going to be using query target provider. And this is always going to return an array of non-null references, I believe. Because I actually don't think it's possible for the query target provider to even have null in the result. So I'm not sure that the target cards, but let's do this. So we're going to see if we can reproduce this. I think I can reproduce it artificially. I mean, what I can do is I can just be very careful in this targeted effect player component here and just make sure to do null checks on everything that has properties being read. So just do a null check on the source card, null check on the target card. And you know, that would probably fix the issue because that's where this error is arising. But I want to see if I can identify why that's happening. So play effect between cards. Target card. Target info dot ability. Play targeted effect. Board, play targeted effects. Target info, targeted cards, executing ability, ability of type, targeted. Okay, so play targeted effects, target info. So what we're looking for is we're looking for any ability that has this targeted enum set. And what I'm going to do is, so this is the, why is this targeted? That's wrong. Alchemy strip legendary, get rid of that. Swarm decorator. So swarm is one where it has the targeted type. Speed is one. Reset cooldown. Is this even used? Oh, the bell. Okay, so we're going to try the, let me write this down. So we're going to go to project settings. Let's go to game debug. Targeted cards. Let's just get a bunch of these kinds of cards. So we're going to do maggot, which has swarm. We're going to do incense, which has speed. We're going to do bell, which has the reset cooldown. Targeted. Find all references. Ability projector. Here we go. So we need an ability projector. Battle trumpet, crozier, tapeworm. Well, we might as well just throw the tapeworm in there. Okay. So let's go ahead and try that out. Now there may be a problem. I may need to add swarm to some stuff, but let's just see how this goes. And let's do project debug, skip menu. Yeah, that's on. Okay. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. That's very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. With the message Yummers. Always good to see you, Snupbill. Welcome, welcome, and good afternoon, good evening to you. Good morning, TK421 all day. Welcome. Good to see you all again. Oops, I have to do... Let's just do training dummy. Yeah, let's do training dummy. Ah, I think I screwed it up again. Oh wait, maybe I don't need that. I don't need generate test map on. Here we go. All right, so we're going to put all these things on the board. We're just going to see if any of them trigger that error. So swarm is going to need another swarm ability, but let's just see. So no errors here. Let's do another maggot. We're gonna try to figure out this issue. If I can't figure it out, I will add some additional logging and then we'll go from there. It might be related to the swarm because I did change the swarm system quite a bit. Okay. Trying to think what else. This is a problem with kind of systems like this, is that there may be a bunch of things happening here. That I'm not entirely aware of. Is there another reset cooldown ability? So just the bell. I mean, is it related to swarm? Let's see. There is an error that or not a slight issue, but let's see. Turn context. No. Turn manager. I think I have a to-do in here. No, where is that? Maybe it is turn executor component here. This is where it is. If the card reruns itself, can break logic. Need to indicate whether this is an out-of-band execution. If the card reruns itself, let me look at my swarm decorator here. Query target provider get cache targets. Query directions, default query provider. Swarm decorator, order by. Random swarm ability equals null. Add a card to rerun execution list. Turn executor component, rerun execution context. If I go to my base card here, is card executing turn? Execution initiator. Where is this being referenced? Execution context. This can be simplified if not execution context. Is card executing turn? I actually don't know. I don't know how to reproduce this. Is it related to the enemy cards, maybe? Ability projector. Yeah, I don't know. I missed it. What's the area you're trying to find? There is a... let me take a look. There's an error here that Ninja Link shared with me that is causing the combat to soft lock. I think. So there's this error, system null reference exception, object reference not set to an instance of object inside of targeted effect player component. So there is some null reference in play effect between cards. So if I go to my targeted effect player component, play effect between cards. So there's a null reference error in here, and that can only really be either because this ability is not actually used, so I might actually just get rid of this. So it's either the source card or the target card that is null. I don't think the source card can ever be null, so that means that the target card has to be null sometimes. Maybe? Oh, you know what? Maybe it's a problem with the caching. I wonder if it's a problem with the caching. Yeah, maybe I need to go through multiple combats. Let's see. I don't think so, though. I actually don't think so, but let's see. Let's just do this. Let's put this on the board. So basically one of those things is null, but I don't really understand how that can ever be null. So there's a problem. It wouldn't be a null reference exception if this was a stale reference. So what I was thinking is maybe this target card is not null and it's just referring to a card that has already been freed. But then I wouldn't get a null reference exception here. I would get a cannot access property of disposed object exception. So it's actually null. There's something that's null in here, and I just don't know where that's coming from. Let me see. So I have a suspicion that there's some kind of combination of cards that is causing the issue. But I can't reproduce it. Hello, Nicholas Dev. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is actually... I wish I knew how to fix this. Okay, let's do this. Let's ask the AI. Let me stage the changes that I've made. Don't need this. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes the AI is pretty good at debugging stuff like this, so we're going to ask the AI to investigate, and we'll see. Okay. Ask. Let's do Claude Opus. Sometimes when this method is called, there is a null reference exception. I do not know how to reproduce, and my own investigations have not produced any findings. Pull in context from my workspace as necessary. Trace the data flow through the system and potentially identify the source of the error. Let's see what happens. Yep, source card or target card is null, I know that. Cards could become null if they were destroyed, freed, between added to the list and the effect playing. That's not true. Card node is null. The source card node, a target card node, could be null if the card was instantiated but not fully initialized. That's not going to be true either. Lightning effect created instance returns null. That's not true. Add null checks. No. If cards are destroyed during execution, the reference doesn't become null. I would expect an object disposed error instead. What else? Card node is also not going. Well, maybe targeted effect card node play targeted animation. So it has to be that source card or target card is null. I just don't know how that's happening. Get card at position. Get cards in positions. I don't think that's right either, but board state. What? Board state.cs is not a thing. Did it just make this up? There's no... Oh, wait. What? There's no such thing as get cards in positions in my whole workspace. What the heck? Okay. All right. The AI is proving itself to be super useful. It's going to replace humans, everybody. What? Get cards in positions. Am I just doing this wrong? There is no get cards in positions in my entire code base. Huh? Let's try get value or default. There's only 4 instances of get value or default, and none of them are what the AI said. All right, cool. Did you hallucinate get cards in positions? I don't see that anywhere in my code base. I apologize for the hallucination. Oh gosh, this is useless. This is useless. It made up an entire method that doesn't exist and then said, here's your problem. What the heck? Does the playtest generate any logs other than error log that would show you the circumstances that were placed? No. My logs are not very helpful, unfortunately. Are added in base card.cs. How do you know that the target provider is returning null results? Don't we need to investigate that more? Whoops, investigate that more. Oh boy, it just works, yeah. Maybe try testing out swarm cards and other suspected types on an enemy board. Yeah, I've already done that. And it didn't create an obvious breakage, so I could try doing more, but I set up all the cards that have targeted effects because it's the targeted effect player. So yeah, so all of these things have targeted effects, and the error is not appearing. Looking at the flow, turn executor component run execution creates the app. Just wraps the original context. So a source card should always be valid since it comes from the card executing abilities. For targeted cards, I need to see iTarget provider interface. It's implementations. iTarget provider. Query target provider, board inventory component, iBoard queryable. Yeah. Okay. So the query method itself doesn't introduce nulls. Could you share ability execution state? Where is this? Execution context with state. Execution context with state. Could you search for other implementations of iTargetProvider? Sure. iTargetProvider, find all references. Ability projector. Buff applicator. Copy ability. Maybe the buff applicator. I haven't tried the buff applicator, but that's not using a targeted effect, so... Maybe copy ability? iTargetProvider, reset cooldown, speed, swarm decorator. This creates a new ability execution state, which means it won't use cache results or will query fresh. However, copy ability doesn't implement iTargetProvider directly for the effect playing, only uses the targeting internally. Return query results is initialized as. The problem, if get cache targets is called before execute runs, the result will be empty. Yeah, that's true. But if get targets is called and the query result card contains null, those will propagate. Could you share the query result? Query result. What? You already have this stuff. I think this is pretty much useless. Man, this is useless. Did you start streaming or making YouTube content first? I started making YouTube content first and then yeah, probably YouTube first and then I started streaming. Welcome back, Jhar, by the way. Would there be any potential difference if these cards were the enemy board instead of the player board, or is your system generic enough for that not to matter? It shouldn't matter, but it might be worthwhile to test that. Hello, Shish Iris Live. Welcome back. Good to see you. A watch streak. Dang, 3-stream streak. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. This is just taking me in circles now, and this is already stuff that I already knew, so. The real issue might be that get cache targets return stale data from a previous execution where a card that was targeted has since been removed from the board, but the reference in query results wasn't cleared. Okay, so that's something to test. So these should be swarming off of each other. If I remove one from the board and then I do this, is this swarm going to try to target something? No, that is not a problem. Okay, what if I do, let's just fill, I think swarm was kind of the thing that I expected was maybe breaking it. So I'm going to change, well, I should probably get some other kind of swarm thing too. So let's do, here, let's do 3 maggots. And then in my populate player cards, in my run manager, I'm going to add the enchant. For each var card in starting cards, card.add enchant new swarm enchant. Okay. I think it may be related to stale data, but that wouldn't present a null reference issue. That's the thing. It would have a, I mean, maybe it would be null. No, it wouldn't. But anyway, let's just put all these maggots on here. And then let's also put the bell on here, I suppose. We might as well put all these swarm things. Let's let this run a couple times. Auto resolve. Okay. Sell that. Let's go into the next combat without changing anything and just do this. That didn't break. So now I'm going to try to remove one of the cards. And then let's go here again. No. What happens if I sell these ones? Oh, there we go. We did it. Play effect between cards. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Alrighty. So we've reproduced it. So it looks like the reproduction step is you get a bunch of swarm cards. So we get a bunch of swarm cards. We have them interact with each other for a combat. And then if I sell some of those cards, so we'll do that. If I sell these maggots now, and then I go into the next combat, it didn't break that time. That's okay. I think if I probably sell this bell now and just keep the incense here, that will probably break. Nope. Okay. Let's put the maggot here. I did reproduce it once. It seems like it's a little bit unreliable though, in terms of reproduction. So let's do this. Sell. Okay, I'll wait to sell until I get into the next combat here. Inquisition blesses some locations. Get away from me. I don't want to. No, go away. Okay, so if I remove, let's say remove the incense, sell that. No? Okay. Is there more to the call stack? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I should have probably copied that call stack, but oh well. Let's see if we can reproduce it again. This is a tricksy bug, but once I can reliably reproduce it, then I think it will be easy to, well, maybe not easy to fix, but it will be fixable, that's for sure. Okay, what happens if I just get rid of one of these maggots now? No? What happens if I get rid of everything else on the board? So I'm just left with one thing. Now what in the heck? I've reproduced it successfully once. That's a good thing because I was never able to reproduce it before. So I think we have narrowed it down to being a swarm issue. It's just now it's a matter of figuring out how to get this to actually be reliably reproduced. Oh, there we go. We got it again. So it does look like this swarm is using, okay. Get targets is called before execute, so query results. Looking more carefully at the flow. Query target provider is a child of swarm decorator. Let's take a look at swarm decorator. This is an eye composite ability. Get abilities to execute decorated ability. Oh. How is this get abilities to execute used? So I think we're narrowing it down. Is this query target provider never... Did I do this wrong with the swarm? Let's see. Let's just close all these things. Swarm decorator. Decorated ability. Where is this? How is this get targets being called? That's the thing. Get targets, get cached targets. Eye composite ability, so the swarm decorator, query target provider. I actually don't know how this is working. Let's put a breakpoint here. I don't know how this query target provider is actually getting data. This shouldn't have worked. Let me go back to my base card here. Ability target info. If executing ability is eye target provider, let's do this. If target provider, well, this is going to be a little bit difficult, but let's just go into the game. We'll go here. I don't care about that. Let's just put maggot and incense together. Query target provider, get cached targets. It's returning a result. How is that happening? Oh, I see. It's putting the query target provider outside of the swarm decorator. Okay. Okay, so the query target provider is being executed here. Why is that happening? Oh, I know why it's happening. Because the swarm decorator, when it executes, it's going to get the cache targets here. Okay. Okay, so I think the problem is that... Okay, so the query target provider executes... This should always be executing before. And so that query target provider is going to be executed. Execution context state, get query result of this execution context. Query results, empty result. Okay. This is always going to be executed, which means the get cache targets is always going to be available. However... we're getting close. We're getting close. For each var card and result. So the swarm decorator works because it accepts a query target provider inside of it. And all it does is it references that query target provider to get the cached targets. Now I could make this a little bit more... I can make this a little bit cleaner here by using an eye target cached provider. And then we're going to change this to cached target provider. And then we'll change this. And now this is like not, shouldn't be confusing now because I'm not the query target provider is not a part of this composite ability, basically, is what I'm saying. So this is just going to accept an external query target provider, and it's just going to get the cache targets from that. So that just increases the clearness of the code in that this swarm decorator is not responsible for actually running the fetch logic for that, the querying logic. So the swarm decorator up in here, no, not the swarm decorator, this ability builder swarm, which wraps an ability, is setting up the query target provider in the abilities execution list before the swarm decorator. So in other words, the intent here is that the query target provider will have its updated results, its updated query, before the swarm decorator then runs with that data. So that makes sense, but there's still a question of how is the null reference ending up here if the query target provider is always refreshing itself beforehand? That is the question. It could be that this execution context state get query result could be returning stale data, but I actually don't think that's... Oh wait, is that possible? We have ability execution state, execution context with state. So we've got the ability execution state that's being created for each ability. So this should always be refreshed. We do have this. Where's the execution context with state? Create enhanced execution context. Well, I guess it's time to put some breakpoints in here, I guess. So I'll keep that breakpoint there. Let's just restart. Let's put a breakpoint there. Actually, I'm not going to put the breakpoint there just yet. We're going to just let it run through. Let's put maggot incense here, auto resolve. And then if I go into remove the maggot, and I take this, and I go here, let's put a breakpoint there. This is inside of the swarm decorator. So let's see what happens. Result. That result is empty, which is fine. Oh wait, no, that's fine. That result is empty. That result is empty. Good morning, Ninja Link. We are currently trying to debug the issue that you've discovered. Your logs were very helpful. I've actually been able to reproduce the bug now, so just trying to nail down exactly what's going wrong with the data flow here. Let's disable this breakpoint for a second. Continue running. We'll let it run a couple times. Okay. Oh, you know what? I know what's happening. I know what's happening. I think I know what's happening. So here's what's happening. So when Swarm runs, so it comes down to the fact that this ability builder, we don't need this AI anymore. So because this query target provider is being run before the Swarm decorator, I think what's happening in here in this is the Swarm decorator, it's only getting abilities of type Swarm decorator. So what's happening here is that it's actually excluding rerunning that query target provider. And so when a swarm When a swarm gets triggered on a card which has not updated the query target provider, it could still be referring to old data. Now, wait a minute. No, that's not accurate. Because what I'm trying to do with swarm is just trigger the ability that has the swarm. I'm not trying to... rerun the querying at that point. I'm just trying to rerun the ability that's contained within the swarm decorator. So that's not actually the case. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's just do this then. Let's get rid of this maggot, and then let's put this... let's put this breakpoint back. So I don't actually know what's happening, but we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Result. That is a non-null result. Okay. That is a non-null result. What in the heck? Card node is null. What is this target card? Maggot. So it is targeting... It is targeting the old maggot, but I literally just checked that. So the bell is the one that's going, and it's currently executing the executing ability. Executing ability is the swarm decorator. So the bell's swarm decorator is executing. Oh no, this is right. This is right. Right. So I was on the right track before. So because this query target provider only runs when it's actually the card's turn. So it's actually when the card goes, it will update this query target provider. But the problem is when a card which has a longer turn cooldown is triggered by swarm with a card with a shorter turn cooldown, it bypasses the query target provider and goes straight to the swarm decorator. And in here, the bell has a cached result, which is pointing to the card that got sold. So the problem is that, wait, is that right? That doesn't make sense either. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. I don't understand. Let me go back to my base card. Let me look at my execution context. So the base card, so the card that is being acted upon is the bell, but what is the execution initiator? Execution initiator is what? Maggot. So yeah, the maggot was the one that triggered the execution of the bell. What? But the bell, only the bell's swarm ability is being executed. So we can see here that my executing ability in here, this is the swarm decorator. So the bell's swarm ability is being executed, but it should be skipping this execution here because it's not, the card is not executing its own turn. So this should be skipped when the bell gets executed. What? Oh, this is an iTarget provider. Oh. Okay, so I think... What? So this swarm decorator is an actual iTarget provider. But the problem is... we're skipping the execution if we're not on the card's turn here. But we're still returning out of get targets this cache target provider get cache targets. And so in the base card here, when we get the ability target info, we're just checking if the executing ability is a target provider, and we're adding that to the target list. So even though the swarm ability is not rerunning any of this logic, it's still returning the old cache target out. Okay, so that's what's happening. So I see. Okay, all right, so let me get this straight. So the maggot, which has a low turn cooldown, is triggering the swarm on the bell, which has a higher turn cooldown. The bell is, the actual execution of this swarm is being skipped because it's not the bell's turn. So just the interior ability of the bell, which is the damage, is being executed. So this decorated ability, that's the only thing being executed. However, that logic is not also present here. So what's happening is, even though its query target provider has not been updated here, it is still returning the old data. So this is actually trying to target or play a targeted effect for an enemy card that no longer exists. And I think I might be able to verify that if I go to the targeted effect player component. Target card here should be a training dummy. Nope. What? Source card. All right. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, no, wait. No, it's the swarm ability. Yeah, so the bell is targeting an old maggot where the card node is null. And that's happening because this swarm decorator is returning an old cached result here in get targets. Okay, all right, that's the problem. So we narrowed down the problem. Now we have to deal with fixing that. I mean, obviously what I probably should do is not return the targets if it is not doing its own turn. So I would do something like return context.is executing turn, cache targets. Otherwise, we're just going to do an empty array. So that should fix it. But that's not really a complete fix because I still have the problem of having stale data in between combats. So this is going to fix that issue. Basically, we're saying if the card is not executing its own turn naturally, if it's being triggered by something else, then we're going to return an empty array because it's not supposed to target anything. Now, there is the problem with this get cache targets, though, which final implementations. So what I probably need to do is also reset the cached data. So let me think about this. I think I just needed to use implement iTransient state here in whatever is a cache target provider. Public void reset state, and we are going to set. We're gonna clear query results. So query results dot clear. Can I not do that? Oh, because it's an array. So we'll just do query results is equal to empty array. So we'll reassign that. Why is that not working? iTransient state, void reset state. Oh, public void. Okay, and then we also need to do that reset state for anything else that implements this iTarget cache provider. Actually, I wonder, am I allowed to do this? No. Oh, I can? No, it lied to me. I can't do that. Okay, never mind. I don't want to have to manually remember to do this. So let's do this actually. Let's just put this into the iTarget cached provider. We're gonna do void reset cache. And then that's going to force me to have to implement the reset cache anytime I reset cache. That's going to have to force me to implement that reset cache method. Damage dealt provider, public void. Stop switching it to partial. Reset cache. Damaging cards equals empty array. Okay. But we're going to need to put that in the base card now. So we have like reset state here. Reset cooldown. Reset all ability states. Else if ability... Actually, if ability is I target... Okay, this is... I'm going to reload the window. This is slowing down. iTarget cache provider, target cache provider. We are going to do reset cache. Okay. Alrighty. So, I think that is now fixed. Now, I could, if I wanted to, do some additional things in here to check it, but there should never be a situation where null references are getting in here to begin with. So I think I fixed the root cause, if I'm not mistaken. So now what this is going to do is this is going to guarantee that as of the next execution or as of the next combat, any data that was cached, at least in the target cached provider, is going to be cleared. So let's see if that works. Awesome, yeah. So target card get assigned after the cooldown. I think it may be storing the reference to the target card before it triggers. Yeah, it was something along those lines, yeah. Hello, Budget Jim, welcome back. Made it partial instead of public. That wasn't me. That was the G-dang AI switching my public from public to partial for some reason. Hello, Mabs Games, welcome, welcome. Anyway, how did you figure out it was Swarm? Well, I had a hunch because I had redone Swarm before the projection, or from the publishing of the new playtest build. But I also went through a little bit of brainstorming with the AI, and the AI also narrowed it down to being likely due to Swarm. So then I just tried to recreate situations where I could produce null reference errors. And I don't know how I discovered it, but I figured out that if I sold a card, if I got rid of a card, so it's just completely off the board or out of the game, that was creating the null reference issue. So, and some of my assumptions about my code base were wrong. Like I said initially, that card node, which was the null reference error was essentially here. Where is it? Targeted effect player component. The null reference was here when I was trying to reference the card node. It was on this very first line. So this card node ended up being null, and that's because when a card gets freed in the game, it actually sets this reference to null explicitly. So if I have my Q free in here, you see how when I call Q free on the card, it manages, it takes the card node, it makes sure to remove the card from whatever board it's assigned to. It also calls Q free on that node, but then it resets the reference to null. So that's not typical Godot behavior, right? Typically when you queue free something, the reference doesn't become null, but I'm doing that myself. And so that was an assumption that I had made that was wrong. And then, yeah, we were just dealing with essentially stale data. But I think this should fix it now. So failed to build project. What? Damage taken provider. Oh, did I accidentally remove? I must have accidentally removed that. Okay. That's the benefit of C# right there. Compile time issues. So now what I have it doing is that after the combat ends, all of the stale data will be reset. And so now we can probably test this. So if I do the maggot with the bell here, and I let this go to the end, and then I remove this maggot. No, it would be when the bell comes up to its turn. So if I remove this and I remove that, and then I go here, let's just play this now. Okay. Okay, that seems to be working. Now what I want to do, just to be extra sure, is I'm going to stage everything, and then I'm also going to stash these changes. Null reference fix in Swarm. So I'm stashing all those changes. We're going to go back into the game. Oh, I stashed my Godot. Okay, let's try something else. We need to keep the run manager and the project Godot here, but I can stash these changes. Okay. Reload from disk, build. Okay, so let's see if I'm correct. I just want to make sure that I can reproduce the issue with a very exact set of steps here. So maggot bell, we'll let those do their thing. And then if I sell this maggot, and I put this back, and then I go here, this should break as soon as it runs, I think. Nope, that didn't break. What? Well, we can put more maggots on the board, I suppose. I'll sell those maggots before I go into the next combat here. No, that didn't break. See, I don't know why it's not consistently reproducible. That's kind of concerning. But I can do it. My NVIDIA driver crashed, gotta go restart it. All right. We'll be looking forward to your return. Hello, Ruined Star. I'll be busy working, but I hope you have a great stream. Thank you. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome, welcome. Need to trigger it outside of its turn. Use the bell with 2 maggots. Then in the next combat, sell both maggots and add the 3rd maggot to the board. Oh, right. Yes, you're right. So I do this, I do this. Right, you're correct. Okay. So we do that. We've got those triggering. And then what I do is I sell these maggots and add the 3rd maggot here. And that should break it. Yeah, there we go. So we reproduce the error. Am I still live? OBS said that I disconnected. Am I still live? I think I'm still live. Test of being triggered outside its turn. Right. Okay. So that is how to break it. I'm just gonna be paranoid. I'm just gonna go through that step again, just to make sure that we've really nailed it down. So, bell. I probably don't even need 2 maggots, but let's just stick with 2 maggots because we know that works. Okay, sell both of those maggots, put a new maggot on the board, grab this, and then this should freeze up right here. Yep, there we go. The game has frozen. We got the error again. All right, cool. Now what I will do is I will do get stash apply again with all the fixes that I did. And then we're going to go and reproduce those steps exactly. So now I'm going to go here, place 2 maggots on the board. Auto-resolve this, sell both of those maggots, put the new maggot on the board, go here, and let's see if this works now. Look at that, it's fixed. And the swarm is still working, right? Yeah, it's triggering. Bell dealt 3, so the maggot dealt 3 damage, yeah, that should work. So the maggot dealt 3 damage, applied 1 bleed, bell dealt 3 damage. Why did it deal 3 damage? Oh, I guess they had the same turn cooldown. Why is it dealing 3 damage twice? Oh, because the bell then goes next. I think I'm just confused by the combat log here. Maggot. Wait, why is the bell dealing 3 damage every time? Uh-oh, the bell is doing 3 damage twice. That's not good. Well, we fixed the error, but now there's a different one. Let's just check this again. The bell should only be dealing 3 damage once, but it's dealing 3 damage twice. Oops. Yeah, the bell is dealing 3 damage every time it's triggered. Okay, well, that's a different issue that we have to fix now. Is that related to one of the changes that I made? Let me stash this again. I just want to see if that was the behavior before. Oh, I guess we're just going to be stuck fixing bugs today. Hello, Sacrificial. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I'm here. It lagged for a sec, but you're good. Yeah, still live. Okay, good. Yeah, you're live. There was a slight interruption to the stream, but it started back up. Good. Because it makes sense that I ran into it. 8 a.m. and average... Oh, I am an avid user of the Swarm Enchant and Maggot. Yeah. That's true. You found like the exact right combination to trigger that issue. Hello, Mabs Games, welcome back. Let me just make sure that I didn't introduce this issue as part of the fix. Nope, the bell is dealing 3 damage. Okay, cool. All right, very cool. Very cool, very cool. All right, we're gonna have to figure out why that's happening now. It's possible that Swarm is much stronger than intended if it's triggering abilities multiple times, but we did fix the null reference error, so that's good. And actually what I'm thinking about doing is I don't even know if I need to do this anymore now that I'm resetting. No, actually, that is a necessary thing, because this could still have old data. So we just want to return nothing if we're not executing the turn. Oh, wait. No, wait a minute. The maggot has swarm twice, doesn't it? Okay, no. There's no issue here. There's no issue. The maggot has 2 swarms. I almost got myself into a little bit of a... Yeah, see, the maggot has 2 swarms. It's got a swarm from the enchanted, it's got a swarm from the bleed. So both swarms are executing, and since there's only one other swarm card on the board, it's executing the bell damage twice. Okay. I'm glad that's working. I didn't really feel like investigating another swarm issue. It's working. Okay. So the major thing is we've got this fixed. Goodness gracious. Okay, I'm very happy with that fix actually, because this reset cache being present for any target cached providers now is going to hopefully prevent any similar issues like that from happening again. So that's great. Is there still a situation where that could happen though? I don't think so. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that, but anyway. Anyway, fix null reference issue caused by certain swarm combinations. Commit that. That will go into the playtest build, so that's a critical fix. That's going to affect other players, probably. So we're going to publish that to the playtest build, and actually, let's just go ahead and do that now. I'm going to have to go and manually promote the build in Steam, but I can at least get it up and do that after the stream. So it looks like we're on version 0.9.10. So git tag v0.9.10. And then we also want to do git tag v0.9.10-test. Git push tags. That will kick off my automated workflow to build and publish to Steam. And I'm going to discard these changes, and I'm actually going to go ahead and merge playtest 3 back into master, so I have that change. So let me just do that really quick. I'm going to take playtest 3. Okay. We're going to create... I'm doing this off screen, but I'm just going through the GitHub UI to merge this. So we're merging this into master. And now I can switch back to master here. Pull that down. Now we've got that commit on master. And then we can continue on with all the other stuff we were going to do. Alrighty. Very cool, very cool. Thank you again, Ninja Link, for submitting that bug, and the logs helped a lot. It at least narrowed me down to the point where the null reference exception was being raised. So yeah, I'm very glad we got that fixed. That's going to make me feel really good about myself, so thank you. But yeah, I think it's really important to stay on top of bugs like that because they can reveal deficiencies in your system. And so I just generally, like, even if the bugs are relatively minor, I try to stay on top of bugs as much as possible. Like, as soon as bugs come up, I try to fix them. That just creates a more stable experience for me while I'm testing, but also, like I said, that has a tendency to reveal like deeper problems in the system that can be addressed earlier rather than later. Because as the code develops and as you add more stuff, you don't want to just keep forging ahead if you've got bugs in your system. You want to let the bugs also inform the design of your system, as you're building it. So anyway, now I do have these bugs that are sitting here, but I don't really feel like fixing any. Oh, I fixed this one, I think. I think I fixed that one. Hold on, let me see. Ah, did this really get... Why did my main get undone? Why did that happen? Thank you. Thank you. Version control. Okay. We go to the character select. I select a character. I go back. Oh, wait. No, that's not the error. I select a character. I go in. I quit to menu. I go to start. Yeah, I think that's fixed. Oh, maybe not. Uh-oh. Well, there's a different kind of bug here. What in the heck? All right. Well, the disposed access bug is fixed. After selecting a character, entering run, and quitting to menu, and selecting a character again, the animations are broken. Bug. Okay. Anyway, don't build your house on a foundation of sand, so to speak. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good way to put it, for sure. Okay. Anyway, let's do something fun. I want to make a bunch of tweaks to alchemy, so we're going to do that. There's all these tweaks to alchemy that I want to make, and I think that, yeah, because we're going to keep refining the alchemy. We're going to make it feel really good, and I think a lot of that refinement is just going to be to reduce the randomness of alchemy and to make it slightly more predictable. So yeah, we're gonna see how this works. And so I'm gonna make this entire list of changes. Maybe not adding the new reagents just yet, but certainly these first three, I think I want to add and make sure that we'll just test that. We'll see if it's looking good. Character select there's still a lot of work to do on character select, obviously, but kind of bouncing around and addressing things as necessary. The log you're mentioning, is that a Godot thing that's automatically done when the engine crashes? Yeah, there should be in the logs folder. So if on Windows you go to your app data folder and you look for Alka Mortis, there will be logs inside of there that are output by Godot. So you could definitely share those with me if you encounter an issue. And sometimes they're helpful and sometimes they're not, but when they are helpful, it's very nice. Still lurking, Neozoid? All right, so I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will start tweaking some alchemy some more. So give me just 3 minutes. I'll be right back, and we'll continue on. Hello everybody, I'm back. All right, it feels very good to have that bug fixed. And actually, the Steam build may be done. Oh, maybe it's not done. Let's see. No, it should be done. I'm just gonna log into Steam really quick. I can't show the Steam backend, unfortunately. I think it would be really fun to talk about what's going on here, but there's some sensitive personal information, and also the Steam NDA basically says you can't show anything. So, but I'm just going to go ahead and set these builds to live. And so Ninja Link, especially when you're doing your swarm builds, this issue should be fixed. Okay, so the playtest build is now going live to everyone, and I also am updating the actual version. So in Steam, there's a playtest app, which is different than, which is like related to your main app, but I am updating the main app because I have given some people access to the main app, mostly my friends, so they don't have to worry about the playtest being disabled and whatnot, if they want to try the game. So I've got two different applications on Steam. One is the full, quote-unquote, full game, and the other is the playtest build. But as of right now, those are the same exact build, essentially. So anyway, that's now live in my main app build. Main app application, I guess. All right, anyway. Hello, Dragonod. Is the demo built? There is no demo. So the demo is also going to be another application in Steam. So it's my understanding that you have your main application in Steam, you've got your demo application, you've got your playtest application. The demo and playtest applications are all basically children of your main application, and they have different like build configurations that you can set for them. And they have different build pipelines, like they have different depots is what they're called that you upload to for those applications. So the playtest application is different than the main application, but there is no demo application yet, because when I release a demo application, that will show up on the Steam page as being always downloadable. That will come in the future. There will definitely be a demo for the game. It's just that we're still under heavy active development, and I don't think that the game is ready for just an always available demo from the store page. So, but that will come, and it's kind of interesting. So the other thing you can do, my CI process that builds the game and publishes it to Steam automatically, It's choosing, let's see, project, export. So I've got 6 different export configurations. I've got the full game configuration and then the playtest configuration. And so I have 2 different workflows. When a tag is detected that ends with -test, it only builds the playtest versions of the game and uploads those to the playtest app on Steam. And if a tag is present which does not have the test at the end of it, then it publishes the full version of the game with these options and pushes that to the Steam application associated with the main game. And the reason why these are separate configurations is because you can put feature flags in your export configuration. So for example, these playtest builds, these playtest configurations, they have the playtest flag. And so what that allows me to do is that allows me to set playtest specific options only when that playtest flag is present. And this is the same strategy that I'm going to use for the demo. So when the demo is available, I will have 3 more configurations for each of the major desktop platforms, and they will have the demo flag. And the presence of the demo flag will control what the player has access to, but it will be the same code base. Like all of this is being done from the same code base, and I'm just using the feature flags to differentiate the runtimes, the runtime executables, I guess, from each other. So this is what I did in Gunforged. In Gunforged, I just published a demo build to the demo app on Steam, and the presence of that demo flag restricted access to content. Now, admittedly, that is easily reverse engineerable for anyone with technical knowledge. Like you could technically go to Gunforged and download the demo build and then find a way to like reset this flag somehow, and then you would just have the full game. But I find that preventing that outcome from happening involves actually excluding certain content from your build, and that becomes a mess very quickly. And also the majority of players aren't going to have the technical wherewithal or know how to do that. So I kind of figured just ship the entire game as it is and just control access with those feature flags. So yeah, everything's a trade-off, right? Everything in making games and software generally is a trade-off of different concerns. I don't simply build for Swarm, it molds my build for itself, yeah. How is the feedback going so far? It's going great. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback, a lot of bug reports, but I think anyone who has already tried the playtest, if you're a Patreon member, if you're here in the chat, you can let everyone know how it's going. But I think the general attitude is that the game is better than it's ever been, that it's still moving in the right direction, and that it's getting more refined and more fun over time. Still a lot of work to do, but I would say that basically everyone who has tried the playtest is in agreement that the game is moving in the right direction. So that's good, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Very cool workflow. Thank you. And welcome to the stream, O Crames. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Bubblegum Lord. Welcome back. Will the game have native Linux build? Yes, it does. It does have a native Linux build. Any Godot or Unity game are easily to reverse engineer, I heard. Yeah. Which is fine. It's like 98%, 99% of actual players who buy the game on Steam don't have the technical knowledge required to reverse engineer it. And the remaining 1% is like, they're so monomaniacally focused on like trying to reverse engineer and break into your game that it's like your efforts are going to be useless anyway. So it's like, just put in that minimal barrier that prevents the 99% of users from easily accessing the content, and then just let everyone else do whatever they're going to do. You know, again, it's trade-offs. Like, do I want to spend 3 weeks locking down my game to make it super hard to not reverse engineer, or do I want to just accept that as a cost of publishing something and then just roll with it, you know? Anyway, that said, you also have to make a game that people want to reverse engineer, which is an entirely different problem. So, you know, if you make a game that no one even wants to play, then probably no one's going to want to reverse engineer it anyway. Anyway, let's do some alchemy changes. It's more like 0.001%, but exactly, yeah. The game is getting there. It just needs more content and balancing. I think this game is going to at least be a cult hit. Thank you, Jackie Daytona. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think that's right. I think that probably the market for this game is not super large, but I think I can make the game deliver exactly what that market is looking for. But we'll see. Make it like Pirate Software. Hey, a little known fact, everybody, but I used to work for Blizzard. So I will take your views now. I will take your chats now. I haven't had to, that's a lie, by the way. I have not worked for any major game studio. I haven't even worked for any companies that you've ever heard the name of, so I'm just a guy. I haven't had too much time to play it, but so far it's been great. I had a really cracked run with the squid having a cooldown of 1, but I had closed the game. I've been compiling my thoughts. Awesome. Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous, but we'll see. Send those in Discord after more testing. Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, I'm compiling, I'm saving all of your feedback. So if you drop feedback in this chat, or if you drop it in the Discord, I am copying that text exactly and putting it into a giant document so that I can read through everything like linearly. Because we all know that Discord is infamous for not being super searchable. And also, especially on these live chats, like once the stream is over, like going back and finding the chats is incredibly hard, so. You should include a massive if-else block or nested array, even if it does nothing in case somebody makes a YouTube video about it. Yeah. For 7 years? What a mess. That's impressive. How can I join the playtest? So right now, the playtest is only open to Patreon members. So if you're so inclined, you can subscribe at Patreon and you will get a Steam key for the playtest immediately. However, you don't need to do that because the playtest will be going live for everyone on Friday. And the playtest will be joinable right from the Steam page. So of course, I appreciate your support if you are interested in supporting on Patreon, but you do not need to financially support the project at any point during development to get access to the playtests. So yeah. You only worked there for 7 years and only said it 50 billion times before, yeah. I have a question regarding Artifact Node. Is it intentional that the first reroll in the first encounter costs 10 blood, and in every next encounter the first reroll costs 0? If it is indeed working that way, then... So, this is something that I need to make more clear. Almost all of the node types can generate above tier 1. And for every tier above tier 1, the node gets some additional capabilities. So in the case of the upgrade node, right, the tier directly correlates to what tier of card you can upgrade at that encounter. So if you have a tier 1 upgrade and a tier 2 card, you can't upgrade the tier 2 card because the upgrade encounter is not a high enough tier. But for things like the artifact, there's no real good way of increasing the power of that node based on tier. So what I did is I made the first X number of rerolls free the higher tier the artifact node is. So that's why you're probably seeing the first artifact node costs blood to reroll. But if you get to an artifact tier 2, then the first reroll is free and the second one costs money. So I think that's a problem. Like, that's not communicated very well. So I need to include some kind of way that the player can know what the additional node tiers actually do for that encounter type. But that's how it works currently, yeah. My favorite squid build so far has been combining squid with snail cat for machine gun squid. Yeah, I literally laughed out loud when I saw that build of the snail cat just like applying 100 bleed in like 5 turns, and then yeah, that was crazy. Godot should add automatically generated preprocessors based on the flags in your build. That would be nice. Like if Godot flag playtest, that would be really nice, yeah. Awesome, I'll try to play it Friday then. Awesome, yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, make sure to join the Discord as well if you want to drop me some feedback. Guess I didn't notice the tier 2 all good then, yeah. You can define preprocessor flags and export features, I believe. Does that actually change the preprocessor, like the code preprocessors you can use? I know you can define flags there, but... Hello, Jeremy, and welcome back, Cody, by the way. How long is the playtest that will be available this Friday on Steam? That will be available for a week. I may actually extend the public playtest by a day or two because I'm currently working on a devlog, and I basically have today and tomorrow if I want to release a devlog on Friday to coincide with the public playtest. But I may have to push the release of the devlog to Saturday instead, and I don't want to just leave like 6 days from the published date of the YouTube video. But we'll see. If I can get the video out by Friday, then it'll just be 1 week. But it may end up being a day or two extra. We will see. All right, so the Alchemy Manager, what do we want to do here? Prevent turn cooldowns from being affected by reagents. I think I may have already done that one. Non-reagent input cards, yes. So that one's done. Now the question is, do I even want to randomize the turn cooldowns, or do I want to preserve the turn cooldowns on every card? Let's try not randomizing the turn cooldowns at all. I actually don't think... Maybe I just don't need this. Let's just not randomize the turn cooldowns at all. I want to see what that feels like. So I guess I'll just comment things out for now. We won't randomize the turn cooldowns at all. Preserve all current abilities and enchants of cards in output. Only add 1 to 2 new abilities based on inputs. Preserving them would make balancing a lot easier. I think so, yeah, because there are other ways that you can reduce the turn cooldown as well. So we're going to try this. Hey, thank you for the subscription, O Creams. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Glad you are streaming on Twitch. This way I can help with Prime subs. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you again. And glad you're here. Yeah, we could do that. We'll keep doing the multi-stream thing. It's not presenting any problems, and it's another way for people to support, so anyway, preserve all current abilities and enchants. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. So let's start with preserving all the current abilities. So basically, instead of randomizing all the abilities on the card, the input card will retain all of the abilities it currently has, and then it will have 1 to 2 new abilities added based on the other abilities that are in the input. All positive abilities to randomize. So let's do var original abilities to take is equal to input card dot get base composed abilities dot where actually I'm gonna have to change a lot of stuff. X dot duplicate. Positive abilities to add. What is my desired ability count? Oh, this is spelled wrong. Desired ability count. Card to new ability count. Let's change this. Card to original ability count. Why is that wrong all of a sudden? Oh, do I already have that? Ah, so let's get rid of this card to new ability count then. Let's just scrub that out. Desired ability count is equal to get ability data for card. So let's do card to original ability count plus. Well, that's not right. Okay, to do. This is the problem. Oh, there's a bunch of problems here. Get rid of that. So one of the problems here is that all positive abilities to randomize. So this is all abilities to randomize. So it's pooling all of the abilities together from all of the cards, and it's just putting them into a giant list, which I can pull from randomly. But now the problem is I want to preserve all the abilities of the existing cards. So I need to... I probably just need to structure this as a dictionary where I could say, here's all of the possible abilities that could be added to this card. Because as it stands right now, if I just added a couple of abilities from the whole pool of abilities, I could actually end up duplicating abilities on the card that is being output. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to need a different structure for this, I think. So we don't want this all abilities to randomize anymore. Private dictionary, base card, list, base composed ability, card to possible new abilities. Okay, so scroll down here. All abilities to randomize. I still have this. We're going to comment that out. Okay. So let's change this to var all abilities to randomize is equal to, actually, let's just make this a list. List base composed ability, all abilities to randomize. Actually, let's make this a hash set. Okay. Adjusted input cards. For card and non-reagent input cards. Card to new possible abilities is equal to all abilities to randomize where... No. I mean, I guess that's okay. I actually didn't need this to be a hash set, I guess. We'll just use this contains card to possible new abilities. Okay. All right. All negative abilities, all positive abilities to randomize. So this needs to go away as well. Why is this two different things? Maybe I should preserve the negative abilities too. Oh, son of a biscuit. Let's rename this one to positive. Card to possible new positive abilities. Let's move this up. All positive abilities randomize. Okay. Why do I have this all negative abilities to randomize? This is randomizing the negative abilities too, so maybe I shouldn't do that. We don't need those two pieces of data anymore, I don't think. Let's just get rid of this. This is going to break things mightily, but that's all right. We'll just break things and fix as we go. Card to possible new positive abilities. All positive abilities to randomize. So this is all abilities to yeah, maybe we want to store this as well. We just don't want to make this like a class level property. We just want to do it in here. Okay. All right, anyway, so we've got all that. Let's go into here now where this logic is. Original abilities to take that. Okay. Var desired additional positive abilities. We'll just set this equal to mathutil.rng.rand I range 1 to 2. Then positive abilities to add, we're going to take card to new positive abilities input card. Order by random. We're going to take, so we probably want to do use ability data here. But for now, let's just put this in here. Desired additional positive abilities. Okay. Base card.add composed abilities, original abilities to take. I don't think I need this anymore. I don't think that's necessary. So we're going to get rid of this. Preserved abilities, I don't know how that one's going to work. We're going to have to figure that out. Anyway, negative abilities to preserve. Hold on a second. Original abilities to take. Right, so I need to split this up. Let's do var original positive abilities to take is equal to original abilities to take where not is negative ability. Var original negative abilities to take. Then down here, desired negative ability count. This is probably going to be wrong. Yeah, I'm going to need to redo all of this, but that's all right. This is part of the process. So anyway, original abilities to take. So this is going to be original positive abilities to take. Abilities from reagents, and then we're going to do base card dot add composed abilities. Original negative abilities to take. Okay. Let's just squish this down a little bit. So var all positive abilities to add is equal to, we'll just make this a list of base composed ability. I realize that this code is not great, but original positive abilities to take, preserved abilities dot select x dot duplicate. Oh, this needs to be like that. Positive abilities to add. And then abilities from reagents dot select. We can get rid of all of this now. This can be all positive abilities to add. Then we're adding the negative abilities. Okay. Do I have the stability in here? So that's coming from that. Ugh, fudge. If you want to change the cooldown, maybe it could be a reagent effect. Yeah, that's the plan. So enchants can reduce the cooldown. A reagent can reduce the cooldown. Hello, Ben. Welcome. Good to see you again. Hello, V. Good to see you. Stray Pointer, aka Matt G. Checking out the Twitch side. Hopefully get a slice of the State Farm ad money. Well, so kind of funny. I kind of wanted to make my username at one point State from Jake Farm. But in all the games where I tried to use that, it was like one character too long, so I could never use it. Thought it was kind of funny. State from Jake Farm. Anyway, because my name is Jacob, so I'm kind of fun. But anyway, my dreams were crushed, and that did not happen. Hello, Rookie Tookie. Welcome back. Good to see you. Four-star Yelp review. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good morning to you as well. Wait, aren't you 1-star Yelp review? So wait, now that you're watching on Twitch, my Yelp review is going to be higher now? 4 stars instead of 1 star? Anyway. Yeah, yuck. This is all a mess now. Look what you guys have done to me. I think I need to rewrite this section now. This is kind of a critical section, so... Minimum additional ability count is equal to get init public required int maximum additional ability count. We're going to get rid of this. What is this desired ability count? I don't think I need that anymore. Maybe, I don't know. I think I just need to rewrite this, honestly. Oh, but if it's legendary, shoot. Hello, Corzin. Just wanted to say I really appreciate your composition video for Godot. Coming from GameMaker 2, it was seriously eye-opening and has made me a much better programmer. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for your message and welcome. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I also came from GameMaker. And, well, that was years ago, but I was shocked at how much more I could do with Godot compared to GameMaker. It was kind of a breath of fresh air, honestly. Like, I'm sure GameMaker has improved since I used it. I mean, this was, you know, what is it? Like 9 years ago at this point. But yeah, GameMaker felt very restrictive after I found out what Godot was capable of doing, so. All right, we're just gonna redo all this because the rules are entirely different and I don't wanna worry about getting this all configured again. So what are the rules essentially? So var original ability count is equal to card to original ability count. We don't want the desired ability count, so maybe that will go away. Var stability is equal to card.cell count. I do want to see how I was doing this before, though. Negative alchemies, negative abilities to remove. Okay. So yeah, var desired negative ability count is equal to probably we'll copy this over. Desired negative ability count, current ability count, so this would be original ability count, minus stability, minus negative abilities to remove. Right. So let's do desired negative ability count here. So the additional is equal to original ability count Oh, I need a original ability count var total ability count is equal to original ability count plus abilities from reagents. Total ability count minus desired. Wait. Desired negative ability count. Existing negative ability count is equal to card to original ability. Oh wait, card to get base composed abilities, where X is negative ability. So additional negative ability count is equal to the mathf.max of desired negative ability count minus existing negative ability count 0. Is that right? Additional negative ability count. This desired ability count, I don't think I need this anymore. Original negative abilities to take. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this. Desired additional positive abilities is equal to ability data dot minimum additional ability count, ability data dot maximum additional ability count. Let's get rid of that. We'll just clean this up a little bit. Base card, add composed abilities. Yeah, that can go away. I think this preserved abilities is wrong too. To do preserved abilities needs to exclude existing abilities on the input card. Okay. Negative abilities to preserve, that's going to go away. Additional negative ability count, add composed abilities, get random negative ability. Okay. Get negative ability range. Is this desired? Am I doing my math right? So the total ability count is the original abilities plus whatever abilities are being added by reagents. And then we're looking at the existing negative abilities, and we're taking that into consideration. So the stability is equal to this card cell count. The target negative ability count that we have is going to be the original ability count minus stability. No, this has to be total ability count minus stability minus the negative abilities to remove. Additional negative ability count is equal to the desired negative ability count minus the existing negative ability count. Is that right? Desired negative ability count. Let's do this actually. So let's just get rid of additional negative ability count. Wait, is that right? Desired. Okay. I think all of that is correct. I could be wrong, but I need to make a change down here now. Original negative abilities to take dot. So let's do this. Dot where dot take ability data dot desired negative ability count. So we're going to take all of the original negative abilities minus. We probably want to order this randomly, actually. And the reason why we want to do an ordering by random is because if we're removing a negative ability with the honey reagent, for example, We don't want it to just remove the first or the last one, although maybe we do, but it will just remove a random one. So we'll just order those randomly. But we're limiting the negative abilities that we're taking to our desired negative ability count. And then down here, if we have an additional ability, negative ability count, we're going to add new random negative abilities there. So I think that should work. This text is good. So this drives two things. This drives the ability counts for the actual randomization, but this is also used by the UI to see what the negative ability range is so that the player can be alerted. They just now got UI designing without having to load the game up and change numbers every time. Oh, wow. Yeah. I was not happy with the progress of GameMaker. Godot I like Godot much better. After watching you use Sprite for a while and some other game devs also recommending it, I finally bought it, and boy, it's miles better than MS Paint. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, Sprite is a very, very good program. I don't have any problems with it at all. Maybe the development of new features is a little bit slow, but if they never updated the program ever again, I would still use Sprite, at least until the next thing came along with more features. But Sprite has so many features built into it that I'm probably just never going to use. So it's a relatively rich program, and it's also pretty cheap. I mean, I think it's $15 or $20 on Steam. I know you can compile it yourself and everything, but it's relatively inexpensive, especially for what you get. Not sure how it works for pixel art, but Paint.net is a great lightweight general purpose tool as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do. I mean, I've seen people do pixel art in Photoshop, which is a little bit heavy, both in cost and just in the application to do pixel art with. But at the end of the day, it's like, I keep harping on this, but people should really just be using the tools that they're most proficient with. Like, the tool shouldn't be getting in your way. If you insist on using a tool, but it just doesn't mesh with your workflow well, or like you just can't remember the hotkeys or whatever, then that's something to consider, right? Like, it may be a tool that you want to use, but if it's just not working out and you're much more efficient with a different tool, then use the tool you're most efficient with. I love it because it's a one-time purchase, not a subscription like that of like a lot of things nowadays. Yeah. I hate. So a little factoid about me, I guess, is that I have basically none of my bills on autopay. I hate having a subscription that automatically charges itself to my card every month. I want to actually go in and like manually pay everything that I can, because it helps me keep an eye on like what money is leaving my account every month, and that gives me an opportunity to like cancel it at that moment if I'm like, wait, I don't need this anymore, right? And so for tools especially, it's like I don't want to have to deal with like, okay, I only want to maintain my subscription for as long as I'm using the tool, and maybe I don't use the tool anymore, so I gotta remember to go back and cancel the subscription. I'd much rather just buy it once, and then if I use the tool, great, and if I don't, then I don't have to worry about a recurring charge coming up that I forgot about, you know. Good morning to you, Moneybags. I am doing well. How are you doing? When you draw your sprites for character items you plan to animate and end up cutting them up for easier animations, do you stick to certain poses like front, back, and side view? Well, my game, I don't really have, like, I just draw the character in a pose and I just animate that pose, and I don't really think ahead of time about what the animation would look like, and that's probably just because, you know, art is still a skill that I'm developing, so I have a hard time thinking that far ahead. So what I focus on first is like for the priestess, right? I just focused on, let's just draw the character statically facing to the right, and let's do that first. And then I will figure out how to animate her afterwards. So when I drew this character, I just drew this as a solid sprite with no attention being paid really to how I was going to animate her. I was just like, I just want to draw, you know, the character and get the character looking good. And then once that's in place, then I say, okay, how can I cut this up? Like, how can I animate that? And that's the point at which I would maybe make tweaks to the sprite to make it easier to animate or to like reposition things slightly. But yeah, I don't really think that far ahead. Oops, is that wrong? Oh no, I'm missing a pixel there. How did that happen? Okay, well, the pixel is not missing here, so... I don't know how that happened. Anyway, I'm glad I opened that up and fixed that. But yeah, I don't know if that answer is very very helpful, but yeah, I don't really think that far ahead. I'm just kind of like, I'm very much in the mode of like, let's just do one thing at a time and we'll handle the future challenges as they come up. Now, if I was a more experienced artist and a more experienced animator, then yeah, I would take a holistic approach to it and like approach the sprite and drawing the character in a way that is going to set me up for doing animation easily in the future. But I'm not at that level, so I just don't worry about it. It's too much to worry about. Yeah, thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. In the UK, we have things called direct debits, which are covered by a guarantee. So if the amount is different to what you signed up for, the bank refunds you. Yeah, I mean, you can always, in the United States, you can usually just reach out to people and say like, hey, I didn't want this charge. Can you cancel and refund? And most of the time the companies will do that, especially if it's like within a couple days of the charge being done. But if they're really persistent on keeping the money, you can just do a credit card chargeback. Like you can dispute the charge. And as long as you're not doing that super frequently, the credit card company basically always sides with you. So there are remedies to it, just they're not like formal legal remedies in a lot of cases. This also shows up on my banking app with like Spotify in 6 days. Now that would be nice. That would be nice. I think some kind of notification about recurring charges would be good. So you get something you like first sketch-wise, and then once you know you like it, then you're good to go, and then animate the other positions as you go. Yeah, and I don't, like, to be clear, I don't have other positions. Like, this is the only position that this character has. The only thing that's changing is I'm just changing the scale in-game based on which way she's facing. So I'll just take the scale and I'll flip it like that. So it's literally just one pose, one position, and that's it. And that was true of Gunforged too. Like all of my entities in Gunforged were drawn initially facing to the right, and then I animate them like this. They have like a run animation, maybe an idle animation or whatever. And then that's it. That's like the only orientation. And then if I need to flip them around, I just scale the node, you know. I do it very, very basic, very minimal effort. Payment method sounds like a pain to learn. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about like collecting payments via software, but that's why services like Stripe exist, because they handle all that for you and you just hook into the Stripe API and then you're good to go. Anyway, I forgot what I was doing. So the enchants, we want to stabilize the enchants as well, but let me just see if I've broken anything horrendously here. I just started looking at music theory and making music for games. I think I'll just use free music until I have the fund to pay for an actual musician. Looked way too much. Yeah, music is hard. Music is hard. Everything about game development is hard. Oh, this is just straight up broken. All right, well, I'll have to fix that. Anyway, let's try some alchemy. Let's just try the very basic case here. Deal 4 damage, deal 4 damage. Look at that. Okay. Let's just add some random cards in here now. Enable test player cards. Music is fun. Yeah, I would like to learn music composition to some extent. For sure, but I need to turn on skip menu again. Okay, so we got the alembic. Let's put in a gold in here and let's do flint. So the alembic keeps its ability. It got two random, or no, it got the fire ability and it got the tapeworm ability. And then this one got the poison and 2 fire. Okay. Now this one, if I were to do this again, I should get a negative ability here. Actually, let's just do this. There are no negative abilities being accrued here. So the negative abilities are broken now. Am I not adding the negative abilities here? Is this used anywhere? Okay. So this additional negative ability count must be null every time. Why is that happening? Total ability count minus stability. Original ability count plus ability from reagents dot count. Negative abilities to remove. Why is that not working? Oh, wait a minute. No. Let's just put a breakpoint here, I suppose. Everything about making a short film is hard. Today I've just been doing the logistics side of it. Yeah. Everything is hard. That's the lesson here. I started making music for game dev and then realized I like making music just for the sake of making music. That's good. Can definitely use that skill in a lot of different circumstances. Oh, legendary. I should be using a smaller card than this, but I can actually do this. Actually, let's just try the maggot with these 2 flints. Actually, let's do all these. Okay, so that is adding 2 new negative abilities. Interesting. Let's alchemize that with this. Zero. Interesting. So it thinks there should be no additional negative abilities. Why is that happening? Oh, because this is not accounting for the... Yeah. So I don't know. I can't really do this in here. Yeah, the problem is because the abilities are being randomly added down here. So it's not accounting for the abilities that are being added. So I don't know if I can even take this approach anymore, honestly. almost wonder... I'm going to try something. Public func int get additional negative ability count. Public required. This is going to need to take a int. I'm just going to try this. I don't think it's going to work, but current ability count. No, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about this some more. This whole system got screwed up because of the changes that I made. Yeah, that's just not gonna work. I basically need to account for the fact that 1 to 2 additional abilities are being added. So here, positive abilities to add. And I've got all these abilities. So I need to, after this point, I need to recalculate how many negative abilities need to be put on the thing. So that has to be done after I've already determined all the abilities I'm taking. The problem is this whole thing up here, this alchemy ability card data, this was to make displaying the outcomes in the UI a little bit easier, so I could tell the player in advance how many negative abilities the cards are going to have. But that's going to need to change now. I'm going to need to use a totally different way of providing that data, so I don't know. I need to think about this a little bit more. Right now I'm sort of playing whack-a-mole with this stuff. But I like what I'm seeing so far. It's just, yeah, I just got to figure out. Got to figure out how to make this system actually work. But anyway, I'm going to create, let's see. I'm going to create a new branch. Start work on alchemy tweaks. Makes games for the sake of showcasing his music. I've not heard of Zun, but sometimes I do make songs for games I won't ever create. There you go. When randomizing the enemy board composition and boosters, do you simply balance around the tier system, or is there more to it? Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. It's all just magic numbers everywhere that I tweaked to feel good. So I was tweaking like the enemy health values, tweaking the number of cards on the board, and then depending on like the score that's assigned to the board, I will also randomly upgrade enemy cards on the board. And that enemy board difficulty is determined by kind of heuristically calculating the general power of the player up to that node. So basically what happens is in the algorithm, it calculates the most optimal path to the combat node that you're visiting. And the most optimal path is basically just whatever path leads to the highest score. And every node that the player can visit has a score associated with it. That's just roughly supposed to model the relative power increase of the player at that point. And then the enemy board is generated with a difficulty that is kind of fit to that score. Again, those are all just like random numbers. Like this is not, there's no objective way of like determining how much power the player gets from a certain thing. But you can see in here, like these are all the scores for all the event types. So like combat is a low score because you are getting cards out of combat, but and blood. So that is a minor power increase, but if you go through a whole string of combats, I don't want the overall difficulty to increase, right? Shop is a relatively powerful one, so that will do a score of 30, same with enchant. The grow board is very powerful, so it's got a score of 80. Max health, all this stuff here. And then I calculate the most optimal path to the combat node, adding up all of these. values. And then, yeah, that score is used to fit an enemy board too. And that's all just tweaking as well. So that's just all playing with numbers and like getting the health values to work correctly. So it's all just like guesswork. It's all numbers that are just roughly modeling difficulties and then just tweaking the numbers until you get a pacing that feels pretty good. So yeah. And the tier, so the combat boards, they're not actually, I don't determine the tier of a combat ahead of time. That's what makes the combat nodes a little bit unique, is that everything else has a tier assigned ahead of time, and then its power increases based on the tier. But with combats, I actually calculate the difficulty based on the optimal path, and so I do the reverse. I calculate the score first, and then I set the tier based on like what the score range is, if that makes sense. So the tier doesn't do anything. The tier for combat nodes doesn't drive any of the difficulty. The tier in the case of combat is actually just a reflection of the difficulty of the combat board. So it's a little bit weird, but I think it works somewhat. Anyway, that'll be it for the stream today. I'm going to go grab some lunch. I may stream later this afternoon, although I do have a dev log to work on, so I may do that instead. But keep an eye on the Discord for a notification if I go live again this afternoon. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow in tomorrow's stream at 10 a.m. Eastern. Again, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. The Alchemortis playtest is live for Patreon members, so if you want to join the Patreon and support the game and support my development, you can definitely do that. If you subscribe at Patreon right now, you'll get a Steam key to the playtest emailed to you, but you do not have to financially support on Patreon. The playtest will be available to everyone starting on Friday, and it will be accessible from the Steam page. There will be a little button down here that says request access to the playtest, and that will also be instant. I'm just going to allow anyone who clicks that button to get access to the playtest. And then that playtest will run for a week for everybody, and then the playtest will shut down, and we will do a couple weeks or a couple months of development until we do the next playtest. So anyway, thank you again for all the support. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you for submitting your bugs and your feedback in the Discord, and please keep it coming. It's all very valuable. And yeah, I'm especially looking forward to all of you who are not Patreon subscribers being able to try the game on Friday. I'm very curious to hear what you all think. But anyway, that's it for the stream. Take care, everyone. And again, watch the Discord for the next notification when I go live. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.